Buongiorno, buonasera, benvenuti amici, welcome my friends. My name is Vincenzo and welcome to the channel, and the channel is Fountain Pen Therapy. Today I got a kind of a accessory review for you. I received from the viewers several questions about pen storage. And you know, pen storage is always something that we're looking out for, especially if our collection is growing. And they're depending on the number of pens that you have in your collection, of course, it may vary, and your tastes and what exactly is your setup at home, etc. Are you bringing your pens with you or not? So there are various options, and I thought that I'd do a video presenting to you all the different options I have, be it pen cases that are portable, zippered type, or pen boxes and what it takes, and different pen boxes. And I've got some that cost a little more, and I got some that are very, very affordable. Most of them are very affordable, I can tell you. They're not luxurious boxes that cost you hundreds and hundreds of dollars, but I think they're very, very efficient. They all have different characteristics depending on exactly your needs. You may find one amongst the various boxes, and you can see them behind me, that we're going to be reviewing. So without any further ado, Fountain Pen Therapy presents Pen Storage, Affordable Options. Okay, so the first option I'd like to review with you, of course, is not pen boxes per se, but perhaps more pen cases with, kind of the zipper type. Let me go to my overhead camera, demonstrate to you what I mean. This type of thing is an option. And you can find some. This particular one is not bad because you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So in this particular one, I got 24 pens. Can neatly fit in. In fact, I brought this with me on vacation because I wanted lots of pens. I was doing a lot of writing. This is a good option. I know they sell 48 pens. So if your pen collection is limited to, a 50, for example, or 48, this can do the trick for you. Yes, it means you unzipper it and remove it and put it back in. But, it's quite portable. You can slip it into a bookshelf, leave it on the desk. It doesn't take up too much time, too much space. So this is quite a very good, I think, alternative. And you can get, this type of product with 12, with 10, with 6, with 5. 48, I think, is in the same quality, is available as well. And I will leave, links down in the description for you to look at. But there you have it. I think that's the first option. And, you can have 3 or 4 of these and slip them into just pack them one over top of the other, and doesn't take too much space at all. And you want to show off your pens, you grab one of these and you show them to whomever. It's quite presentable, and I think probably the cheapest option, and the one that takes least space as well. So that's option number one. Let's take a look at the second option. Be right back. Yeah, you can buy several of these, you know. These fit 12 pens very nicely. They're about $30, $40 on AliExpress. You know, and you can put one on top of the other, stack them up in a bookshelf, not a problem. You don't need a box necessarily, you know. Or you get the zippered version that I showed earlier that had 48 pens. This happens to have 12. Again, very inexpensive on Amazon. I'll have links for you in the description. So there you have it. Now, the second option for storage are pen boxes per se. And I need to discuss one product before we take a look at the different options that I have in terms of pen boxes. Some pen boxes come with slotted pen trays already. So, for example, let me just pull one tray out, and I'll show you the box in due course. This is one tray in a pen box that already has pre-installed, you know, slots for your pens. They're quite wide, and we'll get to it in a second. So you're all set. But sometimes you'll have a product that will have drawers, but with no pen slots at all. It's just empty. And that's where these slotted trays come in. And you can buy these on two different sites that I would recommend. And what you can buy is you buy, you know, a big sheet like this, and then you cut it down to size, depending on the size of your drawer. And, you know, pens fit very nicely. They're not as big as the other one I just showed you. So, for example, you can put your pens with really no problem. You know, we can have, you know, bigger sized pens. I can, for example, here, let me take my Dieman hand, which is quite a big. You'll see it if I just, let me just zoom in. Can I zoom in? No, I can't. But you'll see what I mean. They fit plus ou moins, as they say in French. You know, they just barely fit the big pens, but fit nonetheless. And you can put them one next to the other. Of course, the bigger the pen, the more restrictions you have. But so these are pen slotted trays, and I will provide to you description two possible suppliers of these. One only provides, and let me just give you the names. Yeah, so this particular brand comes from a online store by the name of Penn State Industries. You can get a box with several of these sheets for about $17.95, something like that. The other site is GoPens. GoPens. The advantage with GoPens, if they do deliver it in your district or in your region, is they have different colors. So they'll have a black, they'll have this blue, this burgundy, this red. I think they even have green, and that's the advantage. And they go for roughly between $7 and $8 a sheet, depending on how many the quantity of sheets that you're requesting. Okay, so take a look at both options, see what's most economical for you, and you're all set. And like I said, you can cut these. I usually cut these with just a scissor. You cut them down to size, and you're all set. And you can slot them into your drawers. So it's an absolute must. Otherwise, the pens will just be, you know, floating everywhere in the drawer, and you don't want that. I mean, you could put just a cloth and just put your pens, and you know, the cloth will keep them steady. But I think this is a better option. So that's certainly one thing that you need to have if you're going to go with pen boxes that do not have, you know, pre-made slots, if you will, or slotted trays. Let me give you an example of one such box. Here it is. Now this is a simple wooden box. It's not very fancy. These are what they call Kirijan wood desktop storage, available on Amazon, perhaps elsewhere, but that's where I buy mine, Amazon. As you can see, you can buy them 2 drawers or 3 drawers. Okay, they have a neat drawer system. Let me just show you how it works. And you can see that I've pre-cut the slotted trays. Now, these are quite deep, and we'll see that some of the other more expensive ones are not as deep as this. So, you know, you can actually put in here longer pens if you wish. There's a little bit of wasted space, I would say to you, because you don't need the entire length. Now, whether or not you can organize them differently so you can put the pens this way, maximize space, perhaps that's something you could look into. I prefer to have mine this way, and just because this is so economical, this type of thing, depending on whether you get 2 drawers or 3 drawers, goes for about $50 Canadian. So I think that's quite affordable. They work really well. The advantage of that as well is that you can stack one on top of the other. You'll see that some of the other boxes have a window here, a display window. So when you stack one on top of the other, you don't see what's there. But the advantage of these is that they're, and you could stack things on top. You could use this as just put things on top of here, and it won't disturb the opening and closing of the drawers. I find this type of box really, really economical. And when I'm missing space, I go for it. I go on Amazon and I get myself one. Like I said, it's not very fancy. There's nothing to, well, my pen's all, but there's nothing, special about it other than a wooden box, essentially. Okay. So that's one option. Let me just put that back. Now, let me just bring in 2 more here. From the same company, Kirijan, this is the one that I just showed you with the double drawer. Okay, so we'll put that aside for the time being. And you can also get one that looks like this, but has 2 mini drawers. So, for example, if you want to divide up your collections by brand, and you only have 3 or 4 of those pens, well, actually, when you look at the slots, you can see that there's quite a bit can fit in there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 7 or 8 slots will fit in these mini drawers. So if your collection is only a collection of 8, then you can use those. And the advantage of this one is that you can get one with 3 drawers. So you get 2 of this size and these 2 mini ones there. And they're a little bit different. They don't have a little latch. They're just a little hole that you can pull out. But there you have it. And you can see here I have one of the green ones. So again, Amazon. This one runs for about $50, so quite practical. Now, let me show you some of the more expensive options. These are the ones that have, they're much prettier, of course, and depending on where, now this one's got a little quirkiness to it. Okay, here we go. Depending on where you want to, whether or not you want to display your pens or not. I've got 2 types here, and these will run you a little more expensive, but they're not hundreds and hundreds of dollars like some. These run anywhere between, and sometimes you get them on sale, anywhere between $100 and like $140, depending on how many drawers you want. Okay. The advantage of this is that there's a nice display case window, glass. And the slots are pre-made, and the slots are quite big, as you could see. Let me just pull out, for example, and bring it closer. You can see that the slots are very, very big. So they will accommodate, they're not as long, but there's really no problem in putting in even the larger, longer pens that I have, the extra size. I mean, all these pens are fairly big and they fit nicely, and they're much wider, nice slots. They don't rub with each other either. They're completely separated. So they're deep and large. That's the advantage of these. But, you've got to pay a premium for it, because this has 3 slots. It has 2 drawers, 1, 2, and then you've got your tray at the top, right underneath the glass window. This is made out of wood, and you can get different colors. Nice latches. It's higher quality. Okay, so if you want to display your pens on a desk or in a living room setting, it is a little prettier. You have the same idea, except this kind of has a leather finish. Same thing. There's a latch here, and sometimes even with a key. Again, same idea. Okay. They don't have the metal latch here. It's more of a string holding it up. So these are probably less expensive than the wood. It is made out of leather. There you have it. So you can open up, close. And the advantage, as I mentioned, of these is that you've got bigger slots, deeper slots, and but the disadvantage is if you want to stack one on top of the other, well, now all of a sudden you don't see you don't see that the display tray that you have underneath. You've got to constantly lift it to go see what's there. So these are what I do in my case is that I put these on top of those wooden ones, so that they're more functional. Stacking one on top of the other doesn't work. But again, the other ones, by the way, have, let me count them again for you. If you take my, these are the pens that all slipped out when I moved the tray. If you use these purchased trays, you can fit in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So you've got 17 pens multiplied by 2 trays. You've got 34 in one of those boxes that I just showed you. In this, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 multiplied by 3, you've got 36. Or 34, actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. No, 12. So 12 by 3, because you've got 3 rows, is 36 pens. Same thing with this one, 36 pens. So, you can fit quite a bit. Box 36, that one, just 2 drawers, you get almost the same thing. So those are a little bit more expensive. And as I said, you can get these on AliExpress. You can also get them on Amazon. Look for pen cases. I will leave some links, but some of the links, sometimes they're not available. Sometimes they're out of stock. You've got to keep looking. But look for pen case boxes generally when you do a search, and I'm sure you'll stumble on these. They also sell some that with just a single drawer, just a top one with 2 drawers. I don't believe they have any more than 3. And of course, the price will vary accordingly. Now, let me put these away, and I'll come back with another alternative that's very interesting. Fits a lot of pens, a lot of trays, and very, very affordable. This is probably the one that I prefer the most. It gives me the more, it's not the greatest quality in the world. It's kind of press wood covered by, faux leather covering of some sort. Okay. The advantage of this one is there's a couple of advantages. First of all, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drawers, and I'm wondering if they even come in 6. The drawers are quite long, as you can see here. Let me just they fit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 pens. You know, you buy these trays, 21 pens, quite a bit. They're not as long as the wooden boxes, so you're not wasting too much space. You have the advantage of being able to stack them one on top of the other because there's no glass display here. They're not the greatest quality in terms of, you know, they're not wood or fancy leather or anything, but they're very, very functional. You can get these various places, but Penn State Industries is selling this display case at $65, and I'm wondering if it has 6 drawers. Just bear with me. I'm going to go directly to the site while we speak. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, that's it. It's a 5 slot. I've seen this in various other online stores as well, but Penn State Industries has it. As I mentioned, it's $64.95. There may be some shipping that needs to be factored in. You can put even a, you know, kind of a label here to label if you're, you know, particular brands of pens, if you will. But I find this one quite good, and it's $64. And the advantage is it gives you 5 very huge. You know, in this particular case, what it said 21, 5. I can fit 100 pens in this one box because I've got 5 multiplied by 20. So I have 100 pens in one box at $64. I think that's a good price. Now let me show you the last one, which is probably the most expensive one that I have. And even then, it didn't cost me that much because it was at an auction. It's a very similar concept to the one we saw earlier, except it's huge. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a slot on top 6. Very nice case, as you can see, again, with the very deep slots. I bought this at an auction on Kawiki. They often have these. These are Italian. The only disadvantage I find, because they're leather covered, sometimes, depending on temperature changes and humidity levels, that leather gets, you know, there's a little bit of an expansion that goes on with the tray, and the tray doesn't slide open as nicely as you would want. I've tried all kinds of products to make these things slide nicely, and, you know, especially in my weather region where it's hot and cold, you know, very humid and hot during the summer, air conditioning, and then you put on the heaters and there's a shift, and the wood that's underneath this kind of a tendency to expand, and even the leather just doesn't slide as nicely. So frankly, I paid this quite a bit just because of the shipping, but at the end of the day, I've seen these things go for $45, $50. And depending on where you are, the shipping may not be that bad. These are nice alternatives. Like I said, a little more fancy. Now, let me show you some of the cheaper, even cheaper models. Okay, these are basically wooden boxes. This is kind of a vintage look. You can get these things, you know, like 20 of these. Stack them out, or I got one with 4 drawers. Now, the disadvantage of these, I find, is that they're not, you know, they're not properly fitted, but they do the trick. They're not fancy, but they do have that like kind of a vintage look, and you can see they fit the pens. It's much, you know, it's not as long. It fits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pens. That's not bad. And this one here is going for, let me just check my notes, tell you in a second. Where are my notes? This one you can purchase on eBay. Vintage wooden boxes, Well, it's $55 and up, depending on how many drawers you get. Okay, so this is another option, and again, you can stack one up, one on top of the other. The other one a little more expensive because you can get it. I got mine, especially you can put your whatever you want on it. Frankly, it's looks like this. The drawers. Let me just show you the view here, and you open up your drawers this way. Okay, these go for $115, and it can vary depending on how many rows you have or how many drawers you have. The one disadvantage I find about these ones is that this is quite a narrow situation sometimes. So for example, if I want to put this pen in there, you see it'll struggle to get in. So some of the thicker pens, you might have to push them in. I don't want to do that with this pen, but this is my Aurora, for example, fits in very nicely. This is a Jinhao, fits in there very nicely. But I have a tendency to put some of my thinner pens in these slots. I had bought this one just because I was able to put in this fountain pen therapy. But there you have two other alternatives. And again, all of this will be in the description. Last but not least is a toolbox. Let me just get it and I'll be right back. Okay, so this is like an old-fashioned toolbox that you can get actually with a drawer that opens at the top, even with a handle. But this one is one of the more simpler ones. It's a GRIZZLY toolbox. Okay, again, nothing fancy, but it does have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 drawers. Okay, and just to show you the depth of the drawers, again, the drawers are a little small in my view in terms of length, so not all pens, but you've got to have a really big pen that will have difficulty getting in there. Otherwise, most pens will fit. This gives you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 with those slotted trays. So 9 per drawer. I've got 8 drawers, 8 times 9. I've got 72 pens in here. Okay, and what I've done is I put a little label. You can label the brand if that's what you want to do. They're GRIZZLY made, very strong, and you've got all kinds of toolboxes. A little heavy, but again, if you can find one at a very decent price. Sometimes they also sell them used, so that's another option for you. So let me put this away and I'll come back with an even cheaper option. Okay, so I'm back. This is kind of a plastic box, if you will. Okay, and I put some of my old, I remember ordering all kinds of cheap Jinhao pens. They're all in here, all kinds of stuff that I just never use. But they do come with drawers. Okay, now I didn't put slots in here. I just put kind of a material, an anti-slip material, just because the pens that are in here, I don't care if they move around because they're not pens that I use, that I will ever use, frankly. But they're there. And as you can see, you can buy them in different slots. You can buy them with a small one slot or with bigger slots. So they're kind of jewelry boxes that you can find on Amazon in various dimensions. And in fact, jewelry boxes sometimes can do the trick. You would have to remove all the inserts that they have for rings and necklaces, different slotted tray materials. You can remove those and replace them with the slotted pen trays that I mentioned. But this is probably your cheapest option, I would think, in terms of cost. And you can get these trays fairly quickly on Amazon. Yes, they're transparent. They're not as fancy, but in my view, they do the trick. So that's the another option, probably the cheapest option that I have to suggest. Let me come back with just one last one. Now, the last option is I have one of these boxes. It's just in a place where there's too much effort for me to put it on the desk because it's got all kinds of things on it. But as you can see, it's got nice drawers. Usually, you see paintbrushes and crayons being used. What I find, however, is that if you don't buy one that has the right height in terms of your drawers, pens may not fit properly in there. Also, the drawers are very finicky. They have a tendency to, again, they don't open nicely. Maybe it's just a box that I have, but it's certainly another option. And you can see you can stack them up one on top of the other very nicely. You can get them in different colors of wood, either this dark walnut or, pine. And they're relatively inexpensive. As you could see, a 10 drawer is $107 Canadian. A 6 drawer is $62, $63. And the 4 drawer is $48. Now, they do have some where the drawers are a little bit deeper. I don't know if I can show you one quickly. No, I don't have one quickly offhand, but I know that they sell some that have the drawers that are a little bit deeper and where you're not going to have difficulty, because don't forget, you've got to put in those slots, slotted trays, which give you, again, there's a certain height to that. And then when you put the pen in, it may not fit nicely. So, but these you can also find at stationery stores. You can always go in, try them out, see if a pen fits or not. You don't have to order it. But again, I emphasize that I think they do come with drawers that are a little bit deeper, and those are the ones I would suggest if you're going to go that route. So that's another option that I wanted to share with you. We've kind of covered it all. Pen storage, fascinating. But if you're struggling with it, then you know what? You've got some solutions there. And if I could just maybe show my, let me see if I could do this. Yeah, okay, yeah, it's not bad, not bad. Let's see if I could show you the back there, just how they stack up. Okay, so that's camera 3. There we go, camera 3. No, camera 2. Okay, there you have it. So you see how they're stacking up. Those are all the boxes behind me. Okay, but you can also put them in the shelves. In shelves, I have shelf room in the back. So in the back here, you'll see that toolbox. You'll see the other 2 boxes there. You got that, my favorite there, right there, with some of my Italian pens. Got all my notebooks. So, you can easily store them in shelf room if you have it. And they fit quite nicely, actually, in all basic shelves. So there you have it. How is that? Okay, so I think I've showed you plenty there. You got plenty of options. I'll put as many links as I can in the description. So I hope this is useful. Take a little break from just writing with pens and just thinking about accessories. And sometimes we need to think about it, especially if our collection is growing. Like I said, I've got 500, 600 pens, and it keeps growing exponentially every week. So there you have it, folks. I hope that was useful. Please subscribe if you haven't. If you have any questions, or if you have any other suggestions for pen boxes or pen storage that you've been using, let me know. They're always useful, and if interesting, and if you provide something that I really like, I'll order it and show it on my next recap, or at least I'll mention it during one of my recaps as another possibility. Ciao, folks. Be good. Ciao.